welcome back to The Rosy Romantic. I'm Bree, and today we're going to talk about The Bear Season 4. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Also, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. So grab your drinks, grab your snacks, and let's chat. All right, chefs, we have a lot to talk about. And with Season 4, we finally have some growth. We finally have some progression. But there's also some weaknesses to this season. They're not as strong as Season 1 and Season 2, where they just drew out a lot of storylines and there was not much dialogue. There will be times that you really want these two characters, let's say Carmi and Richie, and they're just sitting there like,
I can't look at you, man. You stay on your side of the room, I stay on my side of the room. That's what I was told.
So for me personally, I didn't think it was bad or great, but it's somewhere between good and okay. But let's jump right into these characters because there were 10 episodes, so that's a lot to cover. But let's start with Chef Carmi. And yes, Chef, there will be spoilers throughout this entire video. So just let you know.
Well, darling, what do you think?
What do I think?
Chef Carmi. There's so many things to say about this man because he's just put us on an emotional roller coaster. Season 3, he just couldn't get out of his head. He was still stuck in the fridge, and now he's out and he just wants to experience life and experience joy, and he's been able to have closure with that like really mean chef, and now he's like, okay, he had that monologue in Season 1 where what was basically driving him was, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. Like, you know, I'm gonna become the best chef. I'm gonna get really great at this. And it was like this angst and passion and anger that was driving him, and a lot of anxiety. So he could still be creative, but there was still like this looming cloud over him. And I think because once he's able to have that closure with that mean chef man, he's like, I really don't care about you. Like, I couldn't care less. Like, you know, I'm just gonna treat you like everybody else. You mean nothing to me. Then once Carmi thought about that, he's like, wait a minute. So I should care about what the people that love and care for me say, and not what people that don't care for me say. Yeah, Carmi, I'm finally glad he had his realization season. And so when Sydney is talking with Carmi in the kitchen in episode 1 of Season 4, she's like, okay, that he's owning up to, you know, his mistakes, that he's sorry, but he says sorry a lot. Like, when he did this, I did the same thing as Sydney. I said, bruh,
Good boy, son.
I can't, no, we need more. We need more from you. And he finally started to get, you know, realize some of his feelings and that he doesn't like dysfunction.
Yes, that sounds correct.
Okay.
Now we get to one of my favorite parts about the season for Carmi is that he finally realizes that he has to face his fears. And that means communicating, that means realizing his feelings and kind of processing that instead of being like, oh, I'm just gonna lock it up and you know, I'm gonna go in the fridge, I'm gonna lock the door and nobody is, I'm all alone, no one can see me, like no one can know what's going on up here because it's too much for anyone.
Yes, that's concerning.
But when he has that talk with Claire and she's like, basically like, look, everybody is going through something and you have to be able to, you know, talk that out with, you know, your partner. If you want a relationship, you want to pursue that. You can't just kind of just shut off and run away. After he has that talk with Claire, he starts walking and then he's like slowing down, gets up the phone. I'm like, is Carmi making a phone call? Because when's the last time he was like, you know what, I'm gonna get on my phone and make a phone call? Or answering the phone. Like this season, I said, this is a new Carmi. He calls Pete, which he still has in his phone saved as Sugar's boyfriend, and decides to call him up and say, hey, you know, I want to change up this agreement. Which I knew it.
Yup.
I knew, I had a feeling. I said, he's going to leave Sydney the restaurant somehow. So throughout the season, when Carmi's looking at Sid with such admiration, I was like, Carmi, you ain't slick. You ain't slick. I was like, I know something's up, and I may not know fully, but I had like a feeling that I'm like, she's like, she's got this. Like, she could lead the bear and it'd be fine, because every time that he would just look at her from afar, and I was like, is that awe of a friend, or is that awe in the love of my life? Okay, I know. Okay, I know what y'all gonna say, Carmi, really? Ah.
I don't wish to make a big deal of it, so please limit your reactions to 1 second. Go. Why in the world? That's plenty.
Look, I'm the Rosen romantic. I am right now, I'm a retired Sid Carmi girly, because it's too much for me. Like, I can't deal with all that. But I can look at it from afar and be like, you know what? They're really good friends, and he wants the best for her. Like, he believes in her so much, and it's so beautiful. But for a potential relationship, again, like we said before, that Carmi needs to work on himself, and that's what he's doing right now. So, okay, we'll get in a little bit of that, but not too much. Okay, I hear you. So when we get to the final episode, and we get where Sid and Carmi are yelling at each other, going like, you know, you're leaving, and I don't believe it. You were lying to me. And then Carmi's like, no, you were lying to me because you were trying to go with Shapiro. Like, they're just like, all these emotions are coming out, which I'm like, I wish you would have just progressed throughout the season. I know it was supposed to feel like they were hiding things from each other, like, oh, everything's fine, like, oh, you're all good. Everything's not good. But we finally have Carmi saying to Sid, like, I think he says here, any chance of any kind of good in this building, it started when you walked in.
How rude of me. I haven't given you enough time to freak out yet. You may do so now.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
This is, I think, before or after he says that she's the bear. Make it make sense, Carmi. Make it make sense, because you're basically telling her that this restaurant, all these things, you know, representing his family, and when she walked in and she tried to get this restaurant going and, you know, drawing that connection, that there was bringing these people together, bringing their family back together after being heartbroken with the loss of Mikey.
I'm okay, honey.
So if you just give me a second to go into my Sid Carmi Delulu, okay, just for a second, it won't be too long. But him basically saying, hey, that I want to leave because I want you to have the chance to follow your dreams and chase your dreams and be the best that you can be. And then I'm going to leave because you made me better, so I'm going to be able to work on myself. Like, I know that right now that's affecting you, and I don't want that to happen.
As I live and breathe.
I don't know about you, but that's love to me. I don't know. You know, like, is it, like, I know it starts out as friendship love, but like that amount of thinking about someone and putting them first, and he's saying, I'm putting the restaurant first. No, you're putting Sydney first. You're putting the family first, okay? And Sydney's part of that family, and you love your family. Yeah, and saying things like, I know that, yeah, 7 people who will jump in front of an expletive train for you right now.
I'm okay.
Why are you talking about these 7 people when obviously, Carmi, you would, like, and like, just like that?
You blurted it out. It's not a big deal. That's what I always do. I love you!
Speaking of Chef Sydney, let's talk about the theme of her season, and that was about failure and how she's afraid to fail, because I think she was having flashbacks about when she was doing her catering business and she was leading this on her own. So when she found a partner with Carmi in this business, she was like, okay, there's someone to rely on, someone that we can work together, and when I'm going through it, like, you know, he's gonna be there to root me on, and when he's going through it, I'll be there to root him on. But when she gets faced with the fact that he's leaving, that she's like, wait, this whole, you know, time that we were supposed to be pursuing this dream together, that I'm now on my own. At the very start of season 4, she just had a panic attack because of this man. He was just in his own world. He was stuck in that fridge and she felt all alone. So when he comes in season 4 and is like, you know, a new Carmi, she's like, what is going on with this man? Why can't he tell me how he feels? Why can't he, you know, have joy in his life? Why can't, you know, it doesn't make sense to her. But the thing about Sydney, and especially in episode 4, when she's able to talk to her little baby cousin, it becomes a conversation with her younger self, basically, and saying, hey, what would, you know, the younger Sydney want, and to, you know, pursue her dreams. And her little baby cousin's like, girl, you gotta move on. Why would you want to go back? Doesn't make any sense. But for Sydney, she is fighting so hard on this. She's like, I can't leave my family. And that's what it becomes to her. And it kind of made sense to me that I'm like, oh, she's maybe not leaving because of that love that she has for the bears. But I'm like, girl, you gotta do what's best for you, and you can still be able to talk to them and things, but she feels like it's violating their trust and, you know, everything that they built together.
We're dialed.
And if Sydney's dad and Sydney's cousin find out how Carmi's been treating her and that he's leaving the restaurant when he said he was gonna be there, ooh, sir, ooh, you in trouble. You in trouble. Like, imagine them coming up to the restaurant. Carmi, you start running out. You start running out because I want to see that dynamic. I want to see, you know, Sydney's cousin, is it Chantel, come up to the bear, or Sydney's father. Ooh, because he would have some words for Carmi.
You know that's right.
I'm just trying to do the best because I believe in her so much. I believe in her more than I do myself. He'd be like,
Don't ever speak to me like that again.
now we're moving on to Chef Tina. And I have one question, and one question alone. Why didn't she have a bigger arc this season? And I don't want to hear the story about like, oh, you know, she had a story-centric episode last season, so this is why we didn't dive into her like character development a lot for this season. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, because I understand that she's trying to get better at being a sous chef, like, you know, in the pasta and the timing and, you know, the pressure and things. But it just seemed so small for everything. Like, I thought I was watching season 1 again. I was like, wait a minute. When she was trying to make that dish and she was like trying to, you know, impress Sydney with, you know, her skill and her talent. But then there was just so much more, okay, to that in season 1 than just a dish. Like, what was that, an episode? And you 10 episodes? 10?
Oh, here it goes.
We could have talked about maybe her and her husband. She said they were having, you know, an argument about something, and that's just kind of glazed over. We're just like, okay, like, is there, you know, a conflict about her, you know, in her career at home? Like, you know, is she becoming, you know, all encompassing with work, and it's affecting her relationship like that? You know, that happens with, you know, work life and home life, and how do you make that balance, because she, you know, wants to put in this work and dedication to it. And then you could also pursue the rest of the storyline between Tina and Marcus, and how they were working together on a dish that she wanted to talk about with, you know, Sid about. And then maybe when, you know, a part of that dish or the dish becomes something they put on the menu, you know, that they, you know, that stays around, because what grows together goes together. Well, follow up on that. What are you doing? It's like you didn't watch season 3. Okay. I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna calm down, because the bear always makes me anxious. The bear always does this to me.
Clap if you have anxiety.
I love the show, but does it love me back? I don't know. Speaking of Marcus, he also needed a big story arc than what he got in season 4. Because if you're getting, okay, Food and Wine's Best New Chefs, okay, Food and Wine's Best New Chefs needs to have more within the script there. And I know that he went through a lot yet within season 3, but let's follow up on that and how he is, you know, the grief and the things that he's going through. Maybe he can talk to Carmi more about that instead of just leaving their conversation so it's like surface, but it's not. It's like surface deep. But we want to like deep dive into those conversations because we had that little. It's like they're still in the same relationship as in season 1 when we know they've grown and progressed since then. And how much Carmi believes in and roots for Marcus. Like, they should be, when they had that conversation about both of their fathers, I'm like, okay, we're going deeper, And they're like, actually, nope. We're not gonna talk about the rest of that.
That is heavy.
Hey, Nick, that's something we should talk about.
And I'm glad Luca's back and that Carmi brought Luca in to help Marcus, and they're showing, you know, more of their relationship and, you know, sharing what's going on. But then even Luca, he only shares a little bit about what's going on with him and his sister, and nothing. There's no progress. Imagine like how it's not boring. It's frustrating. That's what it is. That you have time to tell these stories. You are given this wonderful platform to tell the story, and you have 10 episodes to do so. You know, you're very fortunate as a show to do that because so many shows get canceled and things. You have the time to tell the story that your fans love these characters. Treat the characters with respect and treat the audience with respect because we're spending time watching this story unfold. Now we're gonna talk about Cousin Richie. We're gonna talk about Cousin and his character development. There was more there. There was more arc for him this season because him understanding that Tiff was gonna marry Frank and that his daughter was going to have a stepdad and kind of adjusting with all that. Like, it was a lot for him. But the thing that got on my nerves was Carmi and Richie's relationship. Like, there is no like progression until the very end. And they would do small gestures for one another because they still have love there. But doing things like shouting in front of your niece, the little baby, the little bundle of joy, you're shouting in the kitchen, and then she starts crying. Like, I was like, y'all need to get it together, and y'all need to sit down and have a conversation. And when they do, Carmi's like, oh, well, we should get some rest and, get ready for tomorrow. And then Richie going like, no, cousin, tomorrow is today. And Carmi's like, what? He's like, basically, you have to act within that moment and stop waiting around for things to happen. Have the conversation and, be truthful to one another, because it's just, when you're doing it, it's just silly. It's silly. We don't want to do that. So especially when the storyline is telling you, hey, they should have this conversation now, and then you just go, no, I think we're just gonna sit. Just sit and wait around. Like, the audience won't care. Like, they'll wait for, episode 10, they'll be so proud that they're finally having this conversation. No, I'm gonna be upset at my TV screen going, what are they doing?
Come on, guys. Have some self-respect.
And then finally, when Carmi, tells him that he'd been, grieving and realizing that Richie had been grieving as well, I'm like, well, yeah. That's probably when you had the big argument because y'all didn't want to express your feelings. But I'm glad that they hugged it out. Because I really thought that Richie was gonna punch him. But he's like, especially Sydney's like, this could end up really bad. And I'm not going back to the hospital, so y'all won't have to figure this out. I'm glad that Richie ended up in a good place and now a partner of the bear. Good for you, Richie. Make that coin.
I like that take on it.
Is that what it is?
I'll take that.
Speaking of making coin, let's talk about Ibra. Ibra is the MVP of the season. And actually, he's been the MVP of season 1, season 2, season 3, you know, behind the scenes, and then this in season 4. Because he was the one. He was the one that figured this out and how to get them out of the situation. The Carmi? No. Okay. Instead, they were, you know, they're all trying. Like, they're like, oh, fine dining. You know, this is really working. But, that beef window, shockingly doing really well. Well, duh. So you have him realize that we could have the beef basically have a little franchise and have, you know, a couple of restaurants, small restaurants in the suburbs. And then this is where Ibra's like, okay. So I have, you know, this business mind and acumen to, you know, kind of figure this out. And that's where I wish, you know, if the bear wanted to finally mix things up, that Carmi and Ibra could, you know, bond and, you know, and talk, and that way you could hear more about Ibra's past, and maybe he could have invited him to that museum tour thing that he went on. I don't know exactly who, it was like Frank Lloyd something. But he was like admiring the history and the architecture and stuff. Like, why can't you take Ibra with you? Why can't you all have, you know, a little bonding hangout thing? I don't know, because it looked like both of your themes were the same this season of realization, and for Ibra realizing that you must, you know, create the opportunity and continue with it. And creating opportunities leads us to Gary's storyline, because y'all couldn't have the opportunity to tell more of his story, especially when he talked about in season 3 about the whole baseball. He was at the top of his game, and then he had a fall from grace. You could have had this point to talk about it, and it could have factored into how Richie was feeling and what he went through, because he felt like he wasn't enough and he had to prove himself. But do we see really Richie and Gary, you know, bonding, talking? No. Make it make sense. But we did see Gary advancing more, become a sommelier, which we could have had a sommelier episode. And I want more for him in his character, and the actor is incredible. Like, there's story there. Tell it.
Think you might have a little bit of a problem here, boo.
And last but not least, we have Natalie. Now, Natalie's episode with Donna in season 3 was really emotional and really moving, and how there was, you know, healing happening between Donna and Natalie. I wish that was more explored this season. Even though they talked about it in season 3, you can still kind of expand on it and have time with them, kind of follow up on, you know, how they're doing, how their relationship is going. But you would like to see, yeah, just a little bit more progression, especially as she's a new mom, and also balancing the stress of the, you know, the business and the restaurant. That can be a lot. And, you know, she needed someone, you know, to lean on. If she could talk, she had that little conversation with Tina, but with Tina being a mom, and, you know, and working, and then being able to bond over something, and kind of explore that narrative. Because when's the last time we've seen Natalie and Tina talk to one another? So when we see most of Natalie's storyline being with Francine Fack, I don't know who this woman is.
Clap if you care. All right, let's move on.
And much love to Brie Larson. You know, it was nice to see her on screen there, but we're like, I don't know you. I don't know the you know, all the circumstances, and most of that storyline was played for, you know, comedy. I can't speak. Comic relief. So where does that leave us? They kind of followed up on the fact that Pete didn't tell Natalie that the mom showed up for the opening of the restaurant. Like, you didn't think that came up? I know Pete said something. I know she would have had a beef with, no pun intended. I know she would have had a beef with Carmi about not seeing Sophie for 2 months. How did she easily forgive him like that? I don't know. Like, she's like, oh, I know you're busy. Natalie, I know for a fact you would have been upset, okay? And I know she would have been professional and tried to keep the business running, but to not see the niece, like, make it make sense, Carmi. So I have said a lot about The Bear season 4, so let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this season, and I hope you have a comfy and cozy rest of your day. Bye.